Now, this is to give an overview of the fact that there is a regional diversity, agroclimatic variation in terms of the crops, and then their needs of water and the availability of water. Now, when I said that, excepting for the predominantly Kharif, where we are dependent on monsoon and monsoon, rest across the other crops, especially in the temperate region and in the other areas, there needs to be a water in the canals to supply. Now, soil moisture is dependent on the availability of water, and availability of water today, with respect to region-wise, the storage position as on date, as on the end of November, the data that is available. Now, if you look at the average of last 10 years storage with respect to the northern region and current availability, it is higher, but as compared to the last year, it is lower. So in the northern India, now at the end of 30th November, the sowing for Rabi crops in some areas have been delayed because of lack of enough soil moisture, and therefore this shows us that the area under the Rabi crops may be lessened, and therefore there will be some pressure on that. Similarly, the east, if you look at the last year's storage, it was 14.29 vis-a-vis the current storage as on 30th November. It's slightly better than the last year, but it is lower than 10 years average. Similarly, this gives us an overall picture of how the potential for irrigation is, because this is the source and this is region-wise storage, and they are about 150 reservoirs that Central Water Commission monitors on a regular basis. Which is under the 150 reservoirs, and these 150 reservoirs are typically monitored, and weekly data is put in the CWC site from where this has been taken. Now, when there is across the basin and across the geographies, enough the storage position is there, mostly as compared to the last 10 years average. Now, which gives us an idea that for a particular season in question, we may have enough potential water to irrigate. Now, as I said that the requirement of water, so we have access to whether there is going to be a potential, is there water enough to irrigate? Then the water consumption by food crops, they vary based on all of these put together, all the factors put together. So on an average, paddy requires about 2,000 to 5,000 liters of water to produce 1 kg of rice, which is phenomenal. So we know of it that rice is a water guzzler. Similarly, sugarcane, which requires 15 to 2,500 liters for every kg of sugarcane, that is sugar that is going to be produced. Similarly, corn is moderate in the sense that only 500 to 1,200 liters are required to produce 1 kg of corn kernel. Soya bean is rugged enough, 200 to 600, and wheat is again 500 to 1,500, depending upon the geography, the variety, so on and so forth. Now, this gives a firm idea that soil moisture is very, very important and depends on the crop requirement of the minimum quantity of water that the crop would want to take to produce a particular amount of the yield. Cotton requires roughly 7,000 to close to 30,000 liters of water to produce 1 kg. So it's again a guzzler in terms of water consumption. And coffee requires about 18,000 to 21,000 liters of water to produce 1 kg of coffee. So this gives us, as against tomato, which is only about 200 to 400 liters of water to produce 1 kg of tomato. Now, this gives us a spectrum of like if you look at millets are on the top of the table in terms of water requirement, followed by fruits, vegetables, which are in the middle, and then some cereals, which are again in the middle, like corn, soybean, so on. And then finally, we have the rice, the cotton, the sugarcane, the coffees, which are the guzzlers in terms of water requirement. This again shares. So if you look at barley, oats, or even sorghum, which requires only about 300 to 800, millets typically require 200 to 600. Therefore, they are very, very water efficient in terms of how much of water they would require. And this would be an average consumption. The range is an average of, depending upon which variety, which location, which crop, rabi corn or a kharif corn, so on and so forth. Like onions, carrots, they're all similar, 300 to 600, lettuce, 200 to 400, apples, again, about 300 to 600, sweet potatoes. So all of these give us a fair idea of there are some who are extreme water guzzlers, some which are moderate, and some which are very, very water efficient in terms of production of per unit of the produce.